Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about aerobic respiration in microorganisms. So what is aerobic respiration? How microorganisms will gain their energy? What are the pathways involved? What is the mechanism involved? That all we'll discuss in aerobic respiration. So before that, let us have a small questionnaire. How do the living organisms obtain energy? And how do animals obtain energy? What process do they follow in order to obtain energy? What mechanisms are involved in order to obtain energy? All these questions can be answered once we discuss about aerobic respiration. So, all heterotrophic organisms are nothing but the organisms which cannot prepare their own food materials, which depend on the other organisms for the food materials, are nothing but heterotrophic organisms. All these heterotrophic organisms will obtain their energy from oxidation and reduction reactions. And these oxidation and reduction reactions are quite common in any living organisms carrying out chemical reactions. So what do you mean by oxidation? Oxidation is nothing but, in the sense, oxidation is nothing but removal of hydrogen atoms and electrons, addition of oxygen. Whereas reduction is nothing but addition of hydrogen atoms and electrons, removal of oxygen atom. Reactions in which electrons are transferred from one compound, that is the electron donor or reducing agent, to an electron acceptor or oxidizing agent is nothing but oxidation reduction reactions. Most of the aerobic organisms will obtain their energy by these oxidation and reduction reactions. So we'll see. What do you mean by respiration? So generally everyone will think that respiration is nothing but exchange of gases. Generally, exchange of gases is considered as respiration. Exchange of gases, which sort of gases? Oxygen and carbon dioxide, but it is not. So, respiration is a catabolic process. So, catabolic process is nothing but the process, the living process or life process in which there is a breakdown of organic substances or inorganic substances to liberate energy is nothing but catabolic process. It is of two types: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So what is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration? The difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration is based on the presence or absence of oxygen, that is availability of oxygen. So aerobic respiration is defined as oxidation of organic fuels by the help of molecular oxygen. So what are organic fuels? Organic fuels are nothing but the food they take in, that is carbohydrates or sugars, proteins or amino acids, lipids or fatty acids. So oxidation of any organic fuel with the help of molecular oxygen is nothing but aerobic respiration. In simple, we can define aerobic respiration as process of oxidation in which oxygen will act as a final electron acceptor. So the role of oxygen as final electron acceptor can be understood in electron transport chain. So what are the various stages involved in aerobic respiration? So we have seen that aerobic respiration is nothing but oxidation of organic fuels in which oxygen acts as a final electron acceptor is nothing but aerobic respiration. So what are the various stages involved in aerobic respiration? The first stage is glycolysis, second stage is TCA cycle or Krebs cycle, and the third stage is ETC, that is electron transport chain. So the justification that what we can say, oxygen acts as the final electron acceptor can be made in electron transport chain. So let us see what is glycolysis. So the name itself specifies lysis, breakdown of glyco. Glyco means glucose. So glyco means glucose, lysis means breakdown. It is the universal process, that is, it is a common process which is seen in all living organisms. And this process was discovered by three different scientists, that is Emden, Meyerhoff and Paranas. Hence we can name this pathway as EMP pathway. So in EMP pathway, E indicates Emden, M indicates Meyerhoff, P indicates Paranas. And we can define glycolysis as sequence of reactions that are involved in converting glucose to pyruvate with the help of ATP production is nothing but glycolysis. Simply we can say the sequence of reactions that convert glucose to pyruvic acid are nothing but glycolytic reactions. And reactions of glycolysis. So again these glycolysis reactions are different. The glycolysis pathway is divided into three phases. Phase 1, which is called as priming phase or energy investment phase. Second phase, that is splitting phase or cleavage phase. And third phase is payoff phase or energy generation phase. So each and every phase has its own specificity. And glycolysis is not a single stepped reaction. It is 10-stepped process. The enzymes of this pathway are located in cytoplasm. Hence we can say that glycolysis pathway occurs in cytoplasm. That is what. In first phase, we'll see priming phase or energy investment phase. So the phase name itself specifies some sense. Priming phase. What is meaning of priming phase? Priming phase is nothing but saturation phase or first committed phase or initial phase or earlier phase. And energy investment phase. What does energy investment phase means? So for any reaction to occur, there should be some push up or initiation. That is the reason we take the help of energy and we will start the glycolytic reaction. So this phase contains three enzymatic reactions, that is the priming phase or energy investment phase. First step is phosphorylation. Second step is nothing but isomerization. Third step is again phosphorylation. First, let us discuss phosphorylation. So in this step, glucose will get converted into glucose 6-phosphate with the help of hexokinase or glucokinase. So for any chemical reaction to occur, there should be certain enzyme. So the enzyme involved in step 1 of priming phase is nothing but glucokinase or hexokinase. So first let us see what is hexokinase indicates. So as everyone knows, hexo means 6. Kinase is nothing but the enzyme which involves in transfer of phosphate group. So let us see what is hexokinase. Hexokinase is more widely distributed in cells when compared to glucokinase, and it catalyzes the phosphorylation of not only D-glucose but also many other hexoses and hexose derivatives. So what does the statement indicates? Phosphorylation of not only D-glucose. That means hexokinase is not so specific. It can act on any hexoses or it can act on any sugar that contains 6 carbon. So not only glucose, many other 6 carbon sugars are there like allose, aldose, galactose, fructose, like that. So on all these sugars, this hexokinase has the right or has can act on these sugars. It is present in yeast and bacteria. And then when we come to glucokinase enzyme phosphorylates only D-glucose. That means it can act only on D-glucose. Does not act on any other hexoses. That is, glucokinase is very specific and this enzyme will be active only in high concentrations of glucose. As this enzyme is very specific to only glucose, so the glucose quantity or the concentration of glucose in the cells should be more than the normal. Whereas hexokinase can act when the sugar concentrations are in minimal also. That is the difference between hexokinase as well as glucokinase. And both the enzymes require magnesium and manganese ions for its activation. From where do we get phosphate is one more question. So we get phosphate from ATP. ATP generally considered as energy currency of the cell. So this ATP will donate its phosphate so that this phosphate is taken by glucose molecule and gets converted into glucose 6-phosphate. And this step is irreversible reaction. Of course, it is the first priming reaction. So if you take reaction, glucose gets converted into glucose 6-phosphate in the presence of glucokinase or hexokinase, and ATP will get converted into ADP. The green color indicates T here. T is highlighted with green color. T indicates tri. D indicates di. As ATP donates one phosphate, it gets converted into diphosphate. This is D-glucose and N-glucose. There is a difference in D-glucose and L-glucose on orientation of hydroxyl groups. If we see in D-glucose, the last but one carbon contain hydroxyl group towards the right side, whereas in case of L-glucose it is present on the left, because the phosphate group is added at the sixth position of the carbon. Sixth carbon position. Next step 2, that is isomerization. In this step, glucose 6-phosphate gets converted into fructose 6-phosphate. And this step is catalyzed by glucose phosphate isomerase or phosphoglucoisomerase. And the enzyme requires magnesium ion for its activity. And here the point to be noted that glucose phosphate isomerase is very specific for glucose 6-phosphate as well as fructose 6-phosphate. That means it can act on both the substrates. And this reaction is reversible reaction. Generally, isomerization reactions are reversible reactions. If we take the reaction, glucose 6-phosphate gets converted into fructose 6. Fructose, they have the same same molecular formula, but they differ in their structures. And next step, that is step 3, phosphorylation. So here the glucose fructose 6-phosphate gets converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and the enzyme catalyzing this step is 6-phosphofructokinase or phosphofructokinase, and this enzyme requires magnesium ion for its activity, and this step is again a reversible reaction and second priming step. So if you see reaction, fructose 6-phosphate gets converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Same as first step. ATP will donate its phosphate, one of its phosphate, and converts into ADP. This is the mechanism. And phase 1 overall steps. If we take phase 1 overall steps, the first name of the reaction is nothing but phosphorylation, and where glucose gets converted into glucose 6-phosphate in the presence of glucokinase or hexokinase. And isomerization, where glucose 6-phosphate gets converted into fructose 6-phosphate in the presence of glucose phosphate isomerase. And the third step is phosphorylation, where fructose 6-phosphate gets, that is fructose 6-phosphate gets converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate in the presence of phosphofructoisomerase, and Mg plus 2 ion ATP is utilized. So overall for phase 1 step, 2 ATPs are utilized, and each and every enzyme requires certain inorganic or organic factors as for its activity. Hope everyone has understood the phase 1 of glycolysis.